Hey y'all. So I've been really quiet over the last few months because there's been a lot going on. But I want to talk about Afghanistan for a moment. You see, the crisis in Afghanistan is Joe Biden's fault. Sorry, Democrats, it is. At the same time, the crisis in Afghanistan is Donald Trump's fault. It's also Obama's fault, W's fault, Clinton's fault, Bush's fault, Reagan's fault, Carter's fault. If we were to analyze the foreign policy of every single presidential administration, going all the way back to George Washington, we could find some blame for every single presidential administration since the founding of this country. Our foreign policy, for a very long time, has been isolationism for a while, followed by interventionism. And that interventionism is usually when we're feeling sympathetic for a poor, savage country who, if we only spread democracy to them, they would be enlightened, civilized. And by spread democracy to them, I mean exploit them. Exploit their people and their resources for our economic and political gain. To spread the wings of that empire of liberty. And much like the British Empire, who also sought to civilize the uncivilized world, we're seeing the consequences right in front of us. We are seeing the consequences of what happens when we try to empire build within areas and cultures that we simply do not understand. We could blame every single presidential administration. We could blame Congress. We could blame military leaders. We could blame academics. We could blame diplomats. We could blame CEOs. Because God knows, whenever we're spreading the wings of the empire of liberty, it's almost certain that Raytheon or General Dynamics or Lockheed or Colt has a stake in it. We could blame so many people. But one group that I don't see us blaming, one group that I don't see us pointing the finger at, is ourselves. The American people have responsibility in this. For 20 years, we waved our flags. and we said, oh, well, all they need is democracy. We did all of that nationalistic stuff that the Soviets and before them the British Empire did. And then we watched the news in horror as our greatness was undermined. We are to blame for this. And I think that we need to take a moment to accept that. It's hard. It is. We can't call ourselves the greatest democracy in the history of the world, where the will of the people is the rule of law, and not take accountability for our country's mistakes. That said, in the comments below, or in the description below, I have put in the link for an organization that you can volunteer your time or your home or your money to help some of the Afghan refugees who are going to be coming into our country. And we owe them. I owe them. You owe them. We owe them that much. It's literally the least we can do. Because we failed 38 million people. But we as individuals, we can do right by them. We can do right by the Afghan people. So, I challenge each and every one of you who is watching this to go to the site. Sign up. And help just a little bit. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good night.